All right, guys, and we are back. Sorry about that. When Mr. Newman left, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are back live. So welcome back, everybody. I know it's going to take a few minutes for everyone to jump back in. There you guys are. Had a short little issue, but no problems whatsoever. We are back. So thanks, John, for calling in from Cooperstown with Yamwax. He had a great episode of Sports Card Nation this week. Definitely check it out. Yamwax is one of the best in the hobby. So definitely check out that episode. It's absolutely great. But Dr. Beckett will be joining us here in just one moment. There he is. So we are back, guys, full effect. Technical difficulties as always, but what do you do?
I was going to say props to you, Drew, for getting us back on so quickly.
Yeah,
hey,
Drew.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. Try and quarterback this shit. Maybe I should upgrade from Sam Darnold. Maybe we'll go a little better than Sam Darnold because I don't think he could have got on back that quick. So I'll give myself a little more credit. Yes, John did break the internet. He completed it. That's what happens when Newman comes on. The internet gets broken. We do have a caller though, which is awesome. As soon as we jump back in, we've got Mr. Chris Harris. What's up, Chris?
All right.
Driving in the car.
On the air, I'm just listening. Because you went off the air.
Yes, we did. We're back on now. What's going on, brother? All right.
He's just listening.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got Chris Harris there as well. Good morning, Amy. Thanks for tuning in and joining the show. All right. So as we were talking about NIL and all the licenses. Sam, you were talking about you were about to talk right before John called in about what's more important between the brand or whatnot. So you continue with what you were saying.
Yeah. So I was just essentially saying, I think it'll just be up to, I guess, kind of the consumer at that point to kind of make that decision on whether or not, what they keep up with. But I think to Dr. Beckett's point is, Fanatics might, have some type of, like, obviously Topps might still be involved and that type of brand still be available, even though Fanatics might be, I guess, like the parent company at that point. So, I think it's really going to be interesting. But also I think just it is exciting at the same time just to see how much it could grow. Here recently, I was on a call at work and I was telling like the coworker they really enjoyed soccer. I was like, oh, I have some soccer cards, and started showing them the cards, and they told me the next day, they were like, yeah, I told my family, like they had no idea that there were even soccer cards. Like there's so many people out there who like still really don't even recognize cards or even think about it in their day to day. And I'm sure it's something that we think about almost 24/7. So it's just interesting to see, there's still a broader market that can be reached in terms of just the popularity of the hobby. And so I think Fanatics, hopefully, the best we can do is hope for will take us in a bigger direction as well.
Well, Fanatics wants to be a household name.
Yeah.
They are in the fanatical sports fans.
Yes.
They want a broader and broader reach into the not just the American public, but the world public.
Yep.
They want to sell everything sports to everybody.
Now, Dr. B, one thing that you had said earlier was talking about, Fanatics wanting to get into so many aspects of everything, really make it a one-stop shop. That's, if you look at Fanatics history, they start out with something like getting into jerseys, then they become the one-stop shop for everything you need related to sports. I mean, that's kind of how Fanatics has been run for a very long time. They want to become that one-stop shop, but you also mentioned a marketplace. And right now we're seeing, obviously with PWCC and everything, starting their own marketplace. You've got eBay, you've got possibly a Fanatics marketplace. You've got all these new marketplaces opening up where before, in my opinion, one of the best things was you had a centralized marketplace where you could find everything. What do you think what do you think about this expansion of all these new marketplaces? Because it makes it to a point where sometimes you're going to be searching 5-10 different areas as opposed to one or two from before to try and find what you're looking for. Do you think having a ton of markets is a better thing for the hobby, or is it stretching it a little too thin?
I think the corporate positioning of Fanatics is that, yeah, that's really bad if there's 4 or 5 marketplaces. We want to have the one.
Right.
And so I think they're going to be very aggressive. Now, with eBay, they've got somebody their own size. So that's not going to be so. But all the other you mentioned are niche players, mainly hobby, and successful in their own right. But I think it will be more difficult. But again, if it's more difficult, I won't say tough luck, but it makes the hobby more interesting.
It does.
The fact that you're only going to go to eBay for comps on certain cards is,
outdated.
It's outdated. I mean, it's some of the really huge cards. It's the Goldens of the world, the Heritages, the PWCC now being away from eBay. There's some big cards that don't. The huge cards don't go through eBay. So
right.
So you already got to check. Again, the bigger the card, the more you've got to do comps. And if you got to go 5 places to be assured that you're on target with your price, people will do that. They're not going to do that for a $5 card. They may not do it for a $50 card, a $500 card, $5,000 card. Yeah, they're gonna check everywhere they got to check.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam?
Yeah, I think I agree. Like from Fanatics' standpoint, they obviously kind of want to be the overarching kind of ruler of that. But in terms of, I think, like just from the perspective of like a hobby member or just the consumer in general, hopefully, I think having those different platforms kind of holds them accountable through competition, hopefully in some aspect. I mean, I actually was just talking to someone yesterday. I mainly go to eBay personally. That's where I look, but obviously some cards aren't on eBay if they're in higher value or just more scarce or rare. And then some other platforms that are popping up, like My Slabs, I know is a specific place that people are using now. And yeah, there's some other niche players. So I'm hoping it kind of just puts pressure on really the big guy, eBay, to continue to, innovate and keep true to themselves as well.
And ComC is comfortable being a niche. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
If Fanatics bought ComC, they'd want to turn it into the place. And whereas ComC, I think, spends a lot of their retained earnings, the money they're making is going into improving the product and their growth.
Mm-hmm.
If they were owned by Fanatics or somebody with such deep pockets, they'd be throwing tons into marketing and ending up getting more cards on there, getting more eyeballs, just growing that business. Whereas I think ComC, being individually owned, has got a great spot for now.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree completely. Guys, please, I know we had to switch to a different show, so we do have a new link. So if you would like to call in, if you have any questions about anything in the hobby whatsoever or comments, please click the link below and join us. We would love to have you guys join the show. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuning in. Seems we got quite a few of you back, and we greatly appreciate that. So I guess moving on a little bit, we had some other news this week on the PSA front. PSA put an announcement out. Yes, absolutely, Rich. Definitely will. We had some PSA news. They dropped express pricing a little bit, and in there talking about really getting through the backlog. It looks like they're starting to utilize the full capacity of their new building, as they seem to be getting quite a bit more out daily. Everything seems to be going pretty well for them. SGC recently put out a statement talking about how great things were going on their end in terms of in terms of getting cards back, return times, everything along those lines. So I guess I'll just ask you guys this to start off. Right now, you know, PSA also mentioned the return of regular service coming soon. So what do you guys think of the grading landscape right now? Is it coming back to where it was before we kind of all grinded to a halt? Everything was shot up. Are we kind of getting back to that area, do you guys think, or is this is this going to continue for quite a while? What do you guys feel in the state of the grading industry?
I think personally, I was just thinking about this obviously with PSA, kind of announcing a bit of a lower price level. I personally haven't sent anything to PSA since February, so
Right.
I would say the price increase did their job for me personally because at that point I said I can't afford to send cards at this level. So I haven't sent in a while, but I do think the fact that they're lowering their prices again is really intriguing and definitely I think it opens up. I think they're going to receive more cards now, especially just because if some people were on the fence beforehand. Hopefully, the lower price point doesn't, I guess, open the floodgates too much in a sense,
Yeah.
and where people start flooding to send them again. But I also, in the meantime, while I didn't send to PSA, I did actually send to SGC for the first time too. So I think it's interesting. Again, I kind of like having kind of these two companies right now to send my cards to just in the meantime. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it ends up, but I am interested to see, when the other service levels in terms of PSA will open back up.
I think Sam gives a good example of the fact that people in the industry in their hobby kind of go back and forth. Some are more analytical and some are more
Right.
emotional. And anytime there's a dynamic change, then you can't just do what you've always done. To
Right.
me, that's good for people to stop and say, hey, wait a minute. Okay, if somebody's raising the price, do I still want to be with them or should I check out the competitors? Or
Mm-hmm.
they've stopped their services. So, when we started BGS, it was with the idea that we were going to be we wanted everybody to consider, that we had a strong service. PSA was already the incumbent, and we had our distinctives that we had. But there are people that just always use PSA. They don't use
Right.
SGC or BGS, and each one has people that only use them.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, I don't necessarily think that's the best. I think you ought to be looking at the landscape, seeing what's going on, even new entrants, and so being a little more analytical and not just blindly doing, because otherwise, like you say, Drew, then and Sam realized, hey, my grading's going to be at a standstill.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll check out SGC or one of these others. So to me, that's good. That's good that people are evaluating that how they do their hobby. And if everything is going to go to PSA or BGS or SGC, regardless of service level or price, to me, that's not a thinking person's approach to the hobby. So PSA is a good deal for certain cards. BGS is a good deal for certain cards. SGC is a good deal for certain cards. I've heard that espoused by many.
Mm-hmm.
But the rules change when they get way behind,
Right.
or the notion that I'm just going to send everything to PSA. Now, if you're working on a registry, you're a little stuck there, and that's PSA likes that, but they need to get caught up, or otherwise people will get discouraged.
Yep. And I do agree with Rich Klein here. I think we are about 6-9 months away from being back to a new normal for the grading companies. And who knows what that new normal is. But I think it goes back to what we talked about at the first half of the show. Pivot. When these things happen, you have to adapt. You have to pivot. You have to analyze how you're doing things. Sam, I did the same thing as you. I can't even count the orders at PSA, but none sent since February. But I've sent countless SGC. I sent one yesterday. And that was a direct result of everything that had happened. I subbed some to PSA in person at the National because I saved those cards up specifically for that. But I think honestly, when it first happened, I was very frustrated. When the shutdown, semi-shutdown and suspension of services and everything happened, I'll admit I was incredibly frustrated, and it changed the complete way that I assessed cards and looked at cards and decided what I was going to do. But 2 weeks later, I'd figured out what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do this, and it's worked out just fine. And so I think, as long as you, like we said earlier, pivot and adapt, I think you're going to be fine. But it is going to be interesting when all these new service levels open back up. I think you'll probably see regular, from what I've been told from my from our rep over at PSA, probably late in the year, maybe going into January. It'll be interesting to see. Value, I don't think it'll be until probably February, March, April, something along those lines. But we'll see what happens. But we've got a question here for Dr. Beckett from DR. Dr. Beckett, do you have any favorite Chicago Cardinals football cards from the 1950s?
Well, I wonder what Rich Klein would say about this, but I'm going to be like a Rich Klein guy on this. It's any 56 Topps Chicago Cardinals card, and I think Ollie Matson would be the best one. They're short prints. The whole team is short printed in 56 Topps football. So that'd be my favorite, I think. Again, I wasn't. What do you think? I followed football in those days. When the Cardinals were still in Chicago. Then St. Louis, and then Phoenix, I guess, Arizona. So perhaps not a random question, but I did live in Chicago in 1959. So I think they moved somewhere around in there. But anyway, thanks for the question.
Absolutely. And it's 1997.
I can tell you what the number of the card is. And I
have no doubt Rich can tell you the number exactly. As 1977 clause says, team and set collectors cannot afford these prices. Persons that I know uses PSA the most of the team collector. Difficult to grade your 88 Kevin Mitchell at 30 to 50. I agree, man. I'm an East Carolina collector. A lot of my cards are not worth that much, but they're worth a lot to me. I like to get them slabbed, but obviously that's not an option with PSA right now anymore. One thing that I've used that I've started to love is I created a custom label with the vanity slab concept and have slabbed them without a grade just for the nice look and the nice feel, and they look great together. There's a lot of different options for that. Unfortunately, if you are a PSA diehard, then yes, those 88 Kevin Mitchells are going to be tough to grade in the current landscape and probably going forward.
I mean, all the slabs are patented, I think. So
yes.
You can't just do the exact same thing. I think that's an infringement.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see here. I know we had a couple of different questions here. Let's see. All right, guys. So if you did go to the industry summit, we would love to hear any of your comments on that as well. Please call in and join the show. I'm going to put the link here. We've got about 15 minutes or so left of the show. Links right there. But so I guess let's see. Yes, the $2 mags and one touches are great for protecting cards that you'd have graded DR. That's one of the other ways to go. And I highly recommend the new one touches with the sleeve built inside. I talked to that company at the National for a while. It's a one-man operation, and it's incredible. The one touches are great, and they look wonderful. But before we wrap everything up, there's something I saw this week, and I wanted to get your guys' opinions on it because I thought it was really cool, and it's something I see really, really starting to take off in the second half of this year. And I saw that a certain card company, or not a card company, but a card shop, has introduced vending machines again to the malls. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there are new card vending machines out at a couple of different areas right now, and looking to expand any further. What do you guys think about the return? These look pretty cool. It's not one of those where they're going to drop down and ding all the corners as soon as they're done. It's a nice little layout of a box, but it's an interesting distribution method. What do you guys think about card vending machines?
Are you talking about repacks, or are they?
No, this is actual product. I'm pulling it up on Instagram right now. It is from Daily Sports, Daily. They have created it's called the Fan Stand. And it's literally, I'm going to, let me see if I can pull it up here right on, let's see. Sports, let's see if that's it. But yes, there is I'll try and pull it up here in just a moment, but there is it looks like a normal vending machine, but it has countless different boxes, and you use a electronic touchpad, and then you open up the door and you're able to get your product out. But yes, it's basically any product that you can find. Rex says he saw that at a local restaurant recently.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot more about kind of repack kind of things where people are buying up collections or cards and getting, putting together 100 different or something and bundling it up, wrapping it up. So maybe you can see the top card and the bottom card.
Here.
But at the show a few weeks ago, a couple of guys were coming around saying, hey, I need some good cards, but I need some cheap cards. And I just need, something to, and so that's interesting to me. Again, every card needs to find a home.
Yeah, so let me get that up here. Here it is. Let me share the screen. I'll show you a little example of what I'm talking about here. Well, hold on just one second. We'll get it working. Let's see. But anyway, what's up, Sam?
I was gonna say, I do think that's interesting. I think I've seen in someone's LCS, they have like I don't know if it's RBI Crew or somewhere, they have like it's not like a vending machine, it's more like a game where you like put the key, you try and match the key in the segment, and then it'll drop down a box for you or something. So kind of like a gaming aspect. But no, I haven't seen this. This looks nice, actually, this vending machine.
This is what they look like. I don't know exactly where they are, but it's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's different to me, and is this something you guys think you could see coming forward in a lot of different places? Because I certainly do.
It looks like it's in it says Nashville, Tennessee right now. But yeah, I could see more people doing this. I just wonder what the pricing is, honestly, and if it adjusts based on, fluctuations. But
yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
Well, they need to make sure they have product in there that's people would want, but they don't want it so much they're going to bash and grab.
Right. Yes. Yes.
They better be careful what they put in there that's visible.
Yeah, and better have some security when they're stocking it, apparently, because apparently you need security anywhere when you stock something nowadays, at least at Walmart or Target. But speaking of that, for one thing before we do wrap today's show up, something I've noticed a lot recently is MJ Holdings and all the other and everyone and all the distributors seem to have quietly moved cards to a couple of new locations on the retail aspect. BJ's is now getting a lot of cards. Dollar General is actually starting to get a lot more cards that they wouldn't normally get. And they aren't the, 4 commons in a pack and nothing else anymore. They're starting to actually get some solid stuff. with everything and all the changes that have been going on in this hobby right now, I guess we'll wrap up with this question right here. What do you guys think of the retail landscape during all this? Because the hobby and everything, I think, is going to flesh itself out. But on the retail end, it seems that NJ and them are trying to broaden their horizons as much as they can. And I've noticed a drastic drop off in the amount of products that multiple Targets and Walmarts get because they're going to these other stores also as well. So what do you guys think of the retail landscape and what's coming up on that?
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I would say, Dr. Beckett, you could go first if you'd like.
No, I just think I'm a big fan of the LCS. I mean, I think it's good that there's cards out there, but I want to drive people to the LCS.
And yes, and something that Rex just said, Panini's recently released some retail product to hobby shops, and I like that. Like you just said, that's where I want to see them go as well. But Sam?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I didn't know the Dollar General, but I think I've also seen some people recently speaking of Cracker Barrel
Yes.
as a place that people
Wow.
put in cards.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't honestly gone or gotten or seen any retail in a while just in my local area. So in a way, I'm kind of forced, but not really forced because I want to go, but to the LCS just because, yeah, I feel like there's more camaraderie in the shops as well. And it's kind of a fun outing, I think, to go to the LCS rather than maybe hitting a couple Walmarts and honestly probably not getting anything, but just, driving around wasting your gas. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see that they are kind of putting more product out there in these other areas. I mean, yeah, mainly because I think people are kind of getting tired of going to look for retail and not finding it. So yeah, I think it's interesting that they're doing that. I think the only thing I always think of though too is just how much product is really coming out of. I know like select football
Mm-hmm.
retail. There was a ton of that product out there. It's all over eBay. It's kind of annoying how much you have to scroll through all of that to get to what you
Right.
really want. Um, so yeah, I think that's my only concern is just how much product they are putting out there in retail.
Absolutely. Question from DR, Dr. Beckett. I'd love to hear your opinion on this, but do you ever think an LCS could embrace a co-op model where people could buy into the shop?
I mean, that's an interesting concept. The problem is it's a cash business for the most part, I think,
Yes.
still, and so there's controls. I don't know that I had a co-op model when I owned a shop in the late '70s, but there were three of us partners. You had to have a high level of trust. I mean, you had money coming in, money going out,
Mm-hmm.
buying collections, and so I trusted these other guys. DR's question might suggest more than three.
Yeah.
Basically, the other problem you had when you had multiple owners is that, if a Roberto Clemente thing came in, hey, that had my name on it.
Right.
You have to account for that if you had multiple owners. So I think it's an interesting concept, and there's nothing stopping a group to do that. But I think the financial controls are tricky. On the other hand, let's fast forward.
Yeah.
Forward 5 years. It's very possible that Fanatics is able to do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Might mean that they have retail outlets.
Right.
But it also will mean that they are a public company. So I
Yeah.
don't think that's what DR is talking about. But if Fanatics is public, all of a sudden the prominence of the brand, when you can, it's not like a fractional or collectible or alt or Rally Road. You can actually own a piece of the stock of Fanatics.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they'll be public in less than 5 years.
Oh, yes.
And so if they had and they do have retail outlets, so you'd be owning a percentage of that. Now, what you'd get for it, you'd get to see maybe dividends or see the value of your stock perhaps grow and have part of it. So, but like a limited partnership, that's a little bit tricky, DR. I mean, if somebody asked me, hey, would you like to be a 10% partner in a store? And I think, well, I have no control. I'm just putting in money, and then what is my expectation?
Right.
5%, 2%. It's at some point, if your store in your local town was going to go out of business, and they said the only way we can stay in business is to have kind of a crowdfunding kind of initiative, and if you put in money, we're gonna give you some quote unquote phantom stock or some kind of ownership privileges, that if we ever sell, you'll get a percentage or something like that. That'd be tricky, but there might be people step up if it was a question of the shop was going to go out of business if they didn't get some investment. And then customers may say, hey, we want to make sure you're still around because you're providing service for us. So interesting, very interesting question.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He says he was talking about the local co-op grocery stores where you buy a share into the store for $100. That's refundable, but it supports the store, and then like a 10% off day once a month. I'm sure
every store should do that.
Yes, I was about to say every single one should.
That's simple, understandable, and promotes repeat business and loyal traffic.
Yeah,
I love that.
No, I DR, that's an excellent idea, and one I'm actually going to bring up to my LCS. That's actually a very good idea. But guys, it is 12, so I guess we will leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you for joining us back again. But Sam, thanks so much for joining the show. And Dr. B, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Me too, Drew and Sam. I've enjoyed it, and hope you have an enjoyable hobby in the next week or so. I won't be on. I'm on once a month, which is delightful.
Hey, and we love it when you're on, Dr. B. Well, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Tons of new awesome products out. Rip into some of that wax. Go to your LCS. Hit a card show up. Grab some packs, and we'll see you guys next week with an all new cast and characters. See ya.
Thanks.
Thank you.